What's going on, everyone? Today we are taking a look at the Doogee S200 rugged cell phone. Taking a look at some of the specs, this has dual displays, a unique and durable design, a 100 megapixel camera, and a very large 10,100 milliamp battery. Taking a look inside the box, you have a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, an included screen protector, and then you have the actual cell phone itself. So taking a look at the phone, this is definitely a very unique looking phone. This has what they call their mecha design that is inspired by a space capsule design with a unique 6-layer dragon scale architecture. As you can see, this is definitely a very cool looking phone. It has a robotic, futuristic kind of Transformers look to it, and the two speakers at the bottom even blend into the overall design as well. And one cool thing about this phone is it doesn't just look durable, but it actually is very durable as well, with a multi-layer aluminum construction. And this is waterproof, shockproof, and dustproof. As far as certifications go, this is IP68, IP69K, and MIL 810H, which is a military test standard to make sure the device can withstand being used in difficult environments. Making a claim is one thing, but it's always good to see when there's actually tests and certifications to back up that claim. As you can see, compared to most phones, this is a pretty bulky phone, but that's because it has a built-in 10,100 milliamp battery, and it also has 33 watts of fast charging and reverse charging function as well. So right down here, you can plug in another cell phone or another device and charge that directly from the battery of this phone. Most phones have about a 4,000 to 5,000 milliamp battery. This is more than double that. So if you're not going to use all the battery in a single day, you do have a lot of extra power to charge those extra devices. And maybe you're with someone and they say they have a low battery, which is very common. You can just go ahead and hook their phone up to your phone and share some of that power. As you can see here, there is a flap on the USB-C port, and this keeps water and dust out of the phone. This is a rugged phone that was designed to withstand being dropped and mistreated. So unlike with most other phones, you do not need to add a case onto this phone. Flipping the phone around, you have one of the most unique features on this phone, and that's a 1.32-inch AMOLED display. This is basically a smartwatch built into the back of your phone. And this is a multi-function screen. So first off, you have your watch faces, and you can change these out as well. You have a calendar. You have a camera, and this does use your rear camera, so you can take a selfie with your good camera instead of using the one in the front. You have a music controller, and then if you swipe down, you have your notifications, whether this be text or any apps you have on the phone. And then if you swipe up, that's when you have your battery percentage. So instead of unlocking your phone and doing all of that, you could just turn it around and see everything very quickly on this little screen, similar to like what you would do if you had a smartwatch. Right around the screen, you have all your cameras, and right here in the top left, you have a 100 megapixel AI main camera, and this has their morpho imaging algorithm to give you enhanced image processing. Right down here, you have a 20 megapixel night vision camera. Up here, you have a 2 megapixel macro camera, and right here, you have a built-in infrared flash. I did take a few test photos, and I am definitely happy with the performance from this camera. The colors look accurate and the image was nice and sharp as well. I also tested out the video, and it's not the best when it comes to stabilization, but as long as you film with a steady hand, you can still capture a pretty good shot. And last but not least, right here in front, you also have another camera, and this is your front-facing 20 megapixel camera. Looking at the buttons, on this side you have your volume up and down, you have your lock button, and this is also a fingerprint sensor. And then on this side you have your SD card slot. As you all know, all the big brands keep removing these from their phones, so I'm always happy to see this still on a phone. And then right here in the middle you have a customizable button that you can assign to different apps or functions. So turning on the phone, this runs Android 14, and as you can see, the fingerprint sensor is very responsive. Android 14 is the latest Android version, and this is going to give you the best performance, efficiency, privacy, and security compared to older Android versions. So if you get a new phone, try to stay away from phones that are running Android 13 or earlier. Performance-wise, it's not going to be that bad, but you're not going to get all the improvements and security patches that you have with Android 14. So looking at the screen, this is a 6.72-inch display with a resolution of 1080 by 2400p. Definitely a very sharp screen with a lot of brightness, and this is also a 120 hertz screen. So as you can see, very smooth as I'm moving things around. When it comes to the core specs, this runs Dimensity 750, which is a 5G processor. And overall, this is a solid processor that gives you good performance, but also a low power draw as well. And this is a octa-core 6 nanometer processor with a max clock of 2.6 gigahertz. And lastly, inside the phone, you have 32 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of built-in storage. And then, as I showed you earlier, you can also expand it with an SD card and add up to an additional 2 terabytes. So as I just said, this is a pretty solid processor. So when it comes to basic usage, whether that be browsing the internet, taking photos, browsing social media, this is going to power through that no problem at all. And as you can see, it's a very snappy and responsive device. So once again, for basic usage, this is going to power through all of that no problem. As you can see, very responsive, no lag, no stuttering. Everything opens up very quickly and everything's nice and responsive. For most part, this is a stock Android 14 experience, which is always good to see. With the phone, they also include this app here called Tool Bag, and this has a bunch of basic tools. So you have compass, sound meter, picture hanging, gradienter, height measure, magnifier, basically a bunch of useful tools that you could use around your house, whether you're hanging up a picture or doing some kind of construction. You have all those apps right here. Looking at the settings, as I told you earlier, you have a customizable side key, and that's this button right here. And you can set up a function for one click, double click, and long press. So basically you have 3 buttons in one, well, 3 functions. And looking at the options, you have quite a few different things. You can start screen recording, open a flashlight, take a screenshot, open underwater camera, open SOS, game mode, wake up mini screen. Besides those functions, you can also select any app you want to use as well. Same thing with the double click, same thing with the long press. So for any task that you use often, any apps that you use often, it'll be good to program those right here. And that's going to make using your phone a lot more quicker. And then right below that, you have your settings for the mini screen, which is the screen in the back. You can set your clock plate, and as you see, you have quite a few different ones you can choose. I like that one, so let me go ahead and put that one on there. And as you can see, that's now the watch in the back of the phone. You can turn it on or off. You can set the screen timeout to turn off anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 minutes, or if you want, you could keep it on at all times as well. You have a few more settings here. You have flip to screen on. It says this uses more power, but basically, if you have it like this, the screen will be off, and then you'll flip it around. It'll use the internal sensors and turn it on when you flip around like that. It's definitely a cool feature. Whether you want to sacrifice battery life for that or not is up to you. But as I said earlier, this does have a very large battery, so it's probably not going to change your day-to-day usage very much. You have double tap, so when the screen is off, you could tap on the screen to wake it up. Call tip, it says when a call is made, the secondary screen will automatically light up and display call information. So if you want to keep your calls private, you can go ahead and turn that off. And if you want, you can just have that on. So as you can see, there's quite a few different customizations that you could do with that back screen. As far as connectivity goes, this does have Wi-Fi 6, and I was curious how this stacked up against other devices. So right here I have my Samsung S9 tablet, which is one of their flagship devices. And I ran the speed test app. I ran this one first, and then right after that, from the same exact spot, I ran it on this one. So with the Samsung, this is what I got: 270 down and 55 up. And on the Doogee, this is what I got: 344 down and 120 up. So as you can see, the Doogee got about 70 megabits faster on the download, and then more than double faster on the upload. So very surprising that it beat the Samsung in Wi-Fi speeds, especially for a lower cost device. I do not have a SIM card in this phone yet, but as I said earlier, this does have 5G connectivity, so you should get good network speeds as well. Alright, let's go ahead and test out the speaker quality in the phone. This is at about 90%-ish. So it's kind of hard to capture sound quality and volume on a camera, but considering the price of this phone, I am definitely happy with the sound, as everything sounds nice and clear, and it also has a good amount of volume as well. When it comes to gaming, this phone also performs great with that as well. I tested out Call of Duty Mobile and set it to the max graphics settings, and it ran that completely fine without any issues. I tested out a few matches just to make sure, and it did run the game smoothly without any frame drops. Overall, this is definitely a great phone. It performs well, it's more durable than most phones out there, and best of all, it's also very affordable as well. So all in all, if you happen to be shopping for a new cell phone, I would highly recommend the one I have here, which again is the Doogee S200. If you would like to purchase or get more information, I'll also put the link in the description as well. Alright, well that wraps up this video. As usual, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop me a comment and let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.